Martin, how's it going? Good to see you.
It is going great and glad to be here and back at work. I was on vacation last week.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we were the whole leadership team was Krista and I, at least. We're not a big part of the leadership team, but we were in Texas for a corporate convention, so we were out too.
Well, hope you had some good time.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a great time. Learned a lot. It's a first time they've broken away the leadership component from the regular agent. It was all usually held around the same time. Like leadership was day one, and then agents were day 2 and 3.
Well,
And so
very cool. I was in
interesting.
Maui having Mai Tais.
Mai Tais. I would have rather been on your journey.
Had a nice time.
Right. Where'd you go?
Went to Maui.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Maui's a good spot, man. Good spot for the Mai Tai.
Yes, it is.
We had our first live and in-person meeting last week, and Krista and I were here for it, but Molly and Bobby ran it for us. It was a real breath of fresh air to get back into a scene where you've got humans in place. Everybody had a really good time.
Very cool.
We had a pretty good time, Greg, didn't we? In Texas?
Had a blast.
Yeah, and
It's nice
we
to be back home, though.
no tornado warnings here in beautiful California.
Exactly. At least we ditched those tornadoes and we got lucky. We weren't hit by them, but that was definitely an experience. Let me tell you.
Yeah, for those that didn't know, we were right outside of Austin, and there was a tornado warning, and they ushered us all to the bowels of the hotel. It was, I kind of got freaked out a little bit because we were underground, and coming from California, that's the last place you want to be in a disaster, because the disasters we have are earthquakes. You want to be in an open field, not in the bowels of a giant concrete tomb.
Exactly. And then, the funny thing is I was a little scared, but I was like, it won't hit us. And then like later on that day, while we're at dinner, the hostess is telling us, oh yeah, we were hit 2 weeks ago and all the windows were blown out and messed up the whole pool outside. And I'm thinking, good thing I didn't know that beforehand, because then I would have really been panicking.
I'm right with you, Greg. I was thinking the same exact thing when she told us that.
I know. After she told us, I was like, oh my God, because you're like, oh, it's, this happens all the time. They never hit. After she told me that, I was like, I want to go home. Go back to California.
I was in my room and drug out of my room and made to walk down
That's true.
6 flights of stairs. I almost just stayed in my room. I'm glad I didn't, but
we're glad you didn't either.
Well, yeah, they had to clean it. They had to clear out all the rooms, didn't they? I didn't even think about that.
oh yeah.
Yep, all the rooms.
All right, gang, we'll give just a couple more minutes here and then we'll get the game started. I have to apologize. Our Zoom room is out of commission at the moment. We've got a work order in for the technician to come take a look at it. So I'm broadcasting to you live from my office today with the MacBook. So quality product to use for Zooming, but it's not the Zoom room. So I apologize for that. But with that said, we got stats to go over today. Some interesting information about all the little microclimates. We know that we hear a lot from, from the national broadcast, even Keller Williams. They talk about national numbers so that we can have some trends to discuss, but they really don't correlate to our specific microclimates. Like San Luis County itself is different than Ventura, Bakersfield, in California alone, let alone a national number. And then we can get even more granular, like talking about Paso as opposed to 5 cities, talking about Scenic Coast as opposed to San Luis. So the team here breaks down all those microclimates for you so that you can take a look at what's happening very, very specifically to your area, and then become the economist of choice. And that's really the big message I got. One of the big messages I got from Gary Keller at the leadership meeting, Krista, Greg, and I went to, and Candace, who was there as well, was that to be the economist of choice, you have to study the market. And if your clients, your sphere of influence, your friends and family aren't getting the information that about the area from you, they're getting it from somewhere else. And that person will end up being the economist of choice. And for most people, where are they going right now? If I want to know about real estate, where's the first place someone goes? Zillow, right? I'll throw it out there, Zillow. And is their estimate anywhere near accurate? No, 67% at best. The accuracy numbers are actually a little bit, the stats are coming out much lower, that they're in this low six, like 62%. So the question I have for everybody on this Zoom meeting today is, do you want to be the Zillow in your client's life? So when they think of real estate, they think of you, not an aggregator like Zillow. Because you guys all know, and if you don't, I hope you hear me, your app, the Keller Williams app, can give them all of the live streaming data directly from the MLS. They do not need to go to Zillow at all. They can go directly to your app. So they stay in your ecosystem, which gives you the ability to control the information, give them real information of what's happening in the microclimate areas that they live in, and sets you up for absolute success. So that's why we're talking about the statistics in the area. So we're going to go over those with you in detail today. I want to start with a quote here from Oprah Winfrey, like, step out of the history that is holding you back. Step into the new story that you're willing to create. I want you to think about that for a second. Like, we all have history, right? We all have the things that made us who we are, but we don't have to live in the things that created us. We want to go towards the future. We don't look to the past, because guess what, friends and family, you're not going that way. You're not going backwards, right? We're going forwards. I want you to think of your life as the windshield of a vehicle as you're driving down the road. How big is your front windshield in relationship to your rearview mirror? Like, the rearview mirror is tiny, isn't it? And yet the windshield is gigantic, because that's the way we're headed. Now, I will emphasize the fact that the rearview mirror is important. Like, if you see red and yellow, the red and blue lights flashing, you got to get out of the way. So it's important to look in the rearview mirror. But if you spend all your time looking in the past, you're going to run into a semi right in front of you. So know how important your rearview mirror is, give it the time it needs, and then get back to that windshield, because you guys are the creators and masters of your own destinies. And the front windshield is what we're looking through. And I know that's on the slide every single week, but I never really emphasize it, but I want to reiterate the mission of Keller Williams Realty. And that is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, and lives worth living. In addition to that, we're throwing on legacies worth leaving. That's the mission statement of Keller Williams Realty. So if, and I can articulate that, I'm going to ask you a question. Does everybody on this call have their major definite purpose? Can you define your mission statement? And if you can't, that's the first thing you should do after this meeting today. What do you stand for? Because if you don't stand for something, you're standing for nothing. So make sure you can identify what your mission is. We'll talk about vision, values, and other belief systems that are going to help you with your business. But I want you all to at least have a mission statement. I'll share mine with you. Mine is to change as many human lives for the positive before I leave this earth. That is my major definite purpose or my mission. So I'm going to challenge you to develop a mission, and I'd love it if you've got one. Share one in the chat box, because I would love to hear what your missions are. If not, I'm going to ask you next week to bring your mission to the team meeting and share it with the group, because it's a power statement that is only going to set you on a path for trajectory and success. Okay, all right, we're off of this first page and moving along, team. Let's talk about some congratulatory statements here. If you guys haven't met Sarah, there's Sarah H and Sarah D now over in escrow. We got a couple of Sarahs there. Beverly Stickler's our escrow officer. Make your way over there and say hi. Sarah she's been in escrow for almost 2 decades now. She's a wealth of information and a great resource to Beverly and Sarah. We're really excited to welcome her to the team. We want to thank and congratulate Abel, Molly, Jeff, and Bobby for closing escrows last week with the new team. And thank you guys for supporting your local escrow company. Know that they've got a discount. They're discounting escrow fees for first responders, active retired military, and those that are helping our youth teachers in our community, because we all know what a teacher's salary is. They can use every benefit they can if they're going to stay here. We need them here to teach our kids, don't we? Right. All right. So thanks, guys. Appreciate all the energy and effort you put in to Central Coast Escrow. All right. 52 points of culture. There's no coincidence that there's 52, and how many weeks are in the year? 52. So we're going to focus on one today, and that is following the model. Now, what is the model? Can anybody in the chat name the 4 models that are in the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Anyone? I'm going to give them to you then. The economic model. There's the lead gen model. the budget model and the organizational model. And what I'm going to start doing, I think what I'll do next week is I'll go into each one of those in a little bit of detail, because I think they're important. Getting back to basics, especially in today's world where what's happening. I would love for Ron to talk a little bit today, because he mentioned it yesterday. If it's not on deck, Ron Notter with Motif Mortgage, about the inverted yield curve and what that means. An incredible we had a great conversation last week. If you guys don't know and haven't worked with Ron or Martin or Don, these guys are smart. They provide more information than just, okay, this is how a loan works. We can get you pre-qualified. We can do this. We can get you're funded. These guys are a wealth, guys and gals, Don, no offense, a wealth of information. And the knowledge that they bring to this party is so overlooked if you're not paying attention. So follow the model. The economic model is the one that we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail next week. But the 4 models: economic, lead gen, budget, and organization. All right, MREA. If you hadn't read it, the book, it's a great read. It is a foundational book to get your business underway. All right, 52 points of culture. Let's talk about the stats, people. Let's talk about what's happening in your neck of the woods. To quote Al Roker, those of you that don't know who Al Roker is, he was a weather guy for a very long time on one of those shows. I can't remember. All right, let's look at North County. In North County, this is staggering. The prices, the median price home value in North County is up 22% year over year. 22%. That is breakneck, scary information, but it's the truth. It's really what's happening. And if we're not, again, not telling our clients and consumers, friends and family, people in our sphere, what's happening, they're getting it from the daily press, right? They're getting it from the news, national news source, which isn't going to say 22%. No, prices are up 11%. Like, well, they're going to feel like they're grossly overpaying unless you inform them of the stats. Average days on the market have been steadily going up since last year. You know, if we look at this graph, the yellow line with the dots, if you were to standardize that line from June of last year, days on the market have steadily been going up as the prices increased dramatically. So what does that mean? That means that spring is kind of sprung. Let's take a look at what's happening in the units that are sold. Look at January. In North County, we closed 82 units. That's the entire units that were sold in the county, not Keller Williams. February up to 111, March is up to 145, and I'm counting on April to be even higher than 145. So spring has sprung, properties are being sold more and more every month, and you're going to see that as a graduated trend throughout every microclimate area in the county that we're going to talk about today. So property values up 22% in North County. Days on the market are creeping up slowly, still under 30 days on the market. 30 days, under 30 days. It's still a seller's market. I don't think I've seen a buyer's market in the past 10 years or since I've been with Keller Williams. So intel that you can use. Now that's North County being Atascadero, Paso Robles, Atascadero, Templeton, Santa Margarita, and Shandon. I think we're on that list. So Scenic Coast is even greater, and I think the highest watermark in our county. The prices are up 26% year over year, staggering, well over $1 million. In property values. Now, there's only 54 properties for sale, and when they have 20 of them closed, all these properties are going to close within the next month. So when we've got 12, 15, 20 properties closing, one large sale can really askew the numbers. That said, if you look at the median values, the last 4 months, they've been floating in the high 9s to over $1 million. So we're not seeing an extreme. We might see a spike. Like if the next month there's a $5 million property that sells, it might skew the number, but we're seeing steady increases, and over $1 million is the median price on the Scenic Coast. Looking at $775 a square foot, that is outrageous for a per square foot price, which most people don't look at, but some people actually find it intriguing. Like, what is a new home sale price? You're looking at 400 a foot. Used is more expensive than new. Crazy, isn't it? Properties on the market, 54, average day is 21. So there isn't a graduated trend. If we were to standardize these numbers from last year, they're kind of all over the board. So $1 million, over $1 million median price for the Scenic Coast. And you look again at the units that were sold, 66. So last month was 61. The first month of the year, 53. We are seeing more and more properties close every single month on the coast. And I can guarantee you we're going to see that trend until prices kind of top out. We'll see more and more properties on the market. And that's how we know we've got like I won't call it stagnation, but we'll have a normalization of price increases. So that's Morro Bay, Cayucos, Los Osos, and Cambria. That's what we call the scenic coast. Additionally, we'll take a look at South County. We're going to jump over San Luis here for a second, just come to South County. South County has a more stabilized valuation. Look at the property values up year over year, 11%. Now that's sustainable. The federal government, the national numbers, a stable real estate increased environment ranges between 5 and 7%. So whereas 11 is still high, double what the low range could be, it's still much more realistic than a 26% increase. The last time we saw property values in the high teens and 20s was in 2005 and 6, and then we came crumbling down in 2007, 8, and 9. So that was not strategic, but that was a specific economic situation that caused that, which we're not seeing today. And I'm sure, Ron, Don, and Martin can tell you, like in 2006 was the pinnacle of craziness when it came to borrowing money. Like, just tell us you've got a heart rate and we'll give you whatever you ask for. Just sign here and just sign here telling me that you're not lying and we'll give you whatever you want. Right. That was a different world than today. So we're not going to have that same type of economic situation that we did in 2006. But we are at a breakneck speed in most parts of our county. So South County, medium price floating at just under 900,000, days on the market at 15. Like, the demand is massive. And with 96 properties currently on the market, when we look at the sales number last month, we sold 107. So we know that all those properties are going to close escrow within, we're going to go through those 96 properties and then some. So again, graduated trends. Look at January, February, March. We'll probably close at one. I mean, if we're on track, we'll close 120 next month in the area of Avila, Shell Beach, Pismo, Rio Grande, Grover, Oceano, and Nipomo. So that's a pretty big chunk of our community and only 100 of our county and only 100 properties selling. That's kind of scary, right? San Luis proper, and we got, again, we're well over $1 million in median price. And look at the days on the market, 10. So where is the real win in San Luis? I mean, we've seen like a steady decline. If you were to generalize, standardize those numbers, starting from June, days on the market have gone down as values have gone up. That's a crazy dynamic. It's almost like an inverted yield curve, right, Ron? Which means we can talk about today. But 18% increase. Again, that is at the peak of 2006. We weren't seeing that type of ramp up in values in San Luis County. Those were Santa Maria numbers for certain in 2006. We were not seeing that kind of activity in San Luis. So this is really unprecedented territory. Median price well over $1 million, and the days on the market just plummeting. So that is all the microclimate areas. Look at the units that were sold. Again, 33 in January, 42 in February, 67 in March. We'll probably have close to 80 in April, and hopefully that continues as properties, find that ceiling perhaps of asked value. Again, we've got a trifecta of things happening in real estate with Proposition 19 going into effect, people being able to take their tax basis if they're over 55 from anywhere in the state to the scenic coast here. This huge transfer of wealth, $65 trillion over the next 20 years, going from the boomers to the Gen Xers, which is driving a lot of overbidding because there's cash coming in. And the third trifecta there, the third prong to that sphere is availability. There just isn't any. Because people are moving, prices continue to rise. So it's not like we're in a bubble. I hear realtors they've been in the business a long time, right? They've seen cycles. They were in selling real estate in the 80s when rates were ridiculously high. When there was a little bit of a crash and things didn't come out in 92 and things didn't come up until 96. And there was the .com burst in the early 2000s. And then the peak of 2006 and recession of the Great Recession that happened after that. All of these agents that have lived through that are saying, well, we're due for a cycle correction and the bubble's here. It's going to burst. Like, show me evidence of that. I can see history, but again, like I said before, history is just something to pay attention to. What we're doing is looking forward and looking at the indicators. And the indicators tell me that we are not in any bubble ever, and prices are going to continue to rise until people can't afford it. So as long as there's people with money, and there's a lot of people with money in California, prices are going to continue to rise. And do know that those all of these slides will be available to you guys, and so you guys can send them out to your database. Use the ones that are pertinent to you. Whether, if you're in Paso, use Paso. If you're marketing to a farm or geographic farm area and Scenic Coast, use the Scenic Coast one. You can use them all, customize them, use them, put your own info in there so that you can have at least one touch every single month that puts you in position to be the economist of choice. And I hope you guys are using these. We go through the work of putting all this together so that you don't have to, but you can still benefit from the information. All right, guys. And Dawn, Motif, you guys want to tell us what's happening in mortgage world?
Yes, it's good to see everybody. Let me give you just a little update on the rates. We're averaging 430-year fixed, conventional, jumbo. I'm going to give you a slap between 5% and 5.25%. That's where we're at right now. 15-year rates are about 0.5% lower, so maybe 4.5, 4.625. FHAs and VAs are the winners today. They're under 5%. They're averaging about 4.75, 4.875. So that's where we're at today. And I got to tell you, my assumption is we're probably going to see rates continue to increase. I've always thought that bridge between 5.5% and 6% means our economy is healthy, everything's doing good. So I think we might be seeing some more increases. And I have talked to a few buyers who are also selling. And what I am seeing is the dominoes, the contingencies. We're seeing a lot more contingent transactions based on seller finding home of choice, buyer selling their home. So we're starting that 4 and 5 domino effect again. So we all need to brush up our skills on all of those, babysitting all those transactions at one time. But that's why we have wine. That's why we live in the wine country, right?
Precisely. Wine fixes all.
It really does, especially red.
It's a lubricator. Yeah.
So that's
all right. Thanks, Dawn, for the rate update.
Ron, did you have a topic?
Ron, you guys got something to add?
I do have a topic I would like to talk about today if I can. So I just wanted to stress the importance of checking and knowing the property type of the home that you're looking at, whether you're buying or listing the home. Had a call recently, and I get these periodically, where the realtor is working with a VA buyer and the listing agent is only accepting conventional offers because she was told that the subject property is a condominium and that it was not VA approved. So the buyer, going through his initial VA lender, the lender also told him that this property is not VA approved. So realtor calls me and says, can you double check? I just want to make sure. So sure enough, I look up the property and the association's name of the property is Palm Avenue Condos. So logic says it must be a condominium. However, in doing some research, which Don, Ron, and myself will always do beforehand, before any deal gets accepted or even presented, we will always look up the property type. And the reason why this is so important is because situations like this come up where after looking into the property, we were noticing that it is what's called a cluster home. That tells me it's a planned unit development, not a condominium. So in further checking, I pulled up the deed on the property, and sure enough, the deed writer is showing planned unit development writer, not condominium writer. So I was able to call the listing agent and my agent and the buyer and letting them know that this is not a condominium. Therefore, it does not need VA or FHA approval, and we can do a VA loan on this property. So everybody was kind of a little not sure of what was going on, but I was able to show them proof. And as such, we were able to submit the VA offer. They're now in counter offer stages, so hopefully it gets accepted. But short story is, please give Don, Ron, and myself the opportunity to work with yourselves to be able to understand the types of situations that we're dealing with, whether it's property type or qualifications or whatever it may be. But we're here to work for you guys, and we will help you in closing more deals, whether it's working with your buyers or if you're trying to secure a listing, understand that property type and know the property type that you're working with. So that way we can ensure the type of financing we are able to obtain for that home in helping your buyers. So hopefully that helps. That's just one thing out of many that typically comes across our desk, but know that we're here to help in any way that we can. So thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Martin. Always insightful. Ron, you got something you want to add?
Well, yeah, we were talking about that yield curve and
Yes.
inversion and what that means that we were talking about yesterday. And without getting into the weeds and getting all wonky with the financial details of that, what people should know is that when the yield curve inverts, it is a predictor of recession. This has happened in the last 122 years. It's happened 28 times. 22 of those went into recession with 18 months. And what recession means, boys and girls, is that interest rates go down. So we're telling folks, you know, take the house, take the high interest rate now. There's a very good chance within 18 months, we can refi you into a lower interest rate. That's the takeaway.
Yeah. The deal now is getting the house. Like if you get a house, that's the deal. Not that you got a deal on the house, but getting the house.
Yes.
Right? Get in the house.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you know, the Fed has a couple of tools in its tool belt to help the economy. And one is reducing the prime rate, but they can't do that if it's already at zero.
Well,
So
they're
having them increase the rate
increasing those rates now.
right now is imperative, knowing that there's going to be a recession where they might have to make some adjustments in the future. So it's absolutely writing on the wall. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought that up yesterday and could bring that to us today and talk to us about it. Thank you guys for being here, as is like just a well of information, and you guys should be bringing your buckets to Motif to get the education you need. And they also do an incredible job with getting funding for your clients. So in addition to being smart and a wealth of knowledge, they can also help you fund loans. So use them, guys, use them. All right. Thank you. Okay. CB, Troy, you guys with us today? Got a broken moment? You want to share something with us? I certainly saw CB earlier. You might be muted. Bud. There we go.
I've got to turn around this way, I think. All right. Hey, guys. Hey, I just wanted to reiterate something that Troy and I have been saying this for a very long time. I just wanted to see who's been paying attention. The seller gets to keep the buyer's deposit. How often? When does the seller get to keep the buyer's deposit in a transaction that goes bad? Anyone want to answer this? Almost never. Okay, thanks, Jody. Yeah, almost never. That's the answer we like to give, because you can get into specifics of when the seller gets to keep it, but our quick and easy answer is almost never. Almost never does the seller get to keep the deposit. But there is a distinction there between when the seller gets to keep the deposit and if the seller has the right to cancel. So your seller can cancel a transaction on very specific circumstances. There's something in our contract called the time is of the essence, which means that those time frames that are in the contract are actually terms that can be breached by a buyer. But in order to take advantage of that, if your seller is trying to get out of this deal, maybe it's gone on 2-3 weeks too long, the seller doesn't believe that the buyer's lender has been truthful, something along those lines, the seller can exercise their option, get out of the contract, but they have to use a notice of buyer to perform or demand to close. Those are the two things that make those time is of the essence clauses come due. So keep that in mind. We had an agent talk to CAR recently, and they said there's this new trend that's happening all across the whole state, where agents are, because we're seeing these delays in closing escrow, agents are writing in that the buyer will release their deposit, their earnest money deposit, to the seller, non-refundable, or whatever they write in. Understand, those are not enforceable. You can get your seller in a situation where they got the funds released to them, but then the deal falls apart, the seller cancels. Now the seller has to give that money back. Just because it got released to them doesn't make it theirs. So if you're doing anything like that, what they recommend instead is that you write in on your extension of time addendum, you write in a payment being made to the seller. Do not use the earnest money. Don't say earnest money. Don't put in there that the buyer will have the earnest money deposit released. Instead say, buyer will pay seller a per diem of, I don't know, 150 bucks a day, 100 bucks a day for a 10-day extension of escrow. And that is something you can have the buyer take into escrow. It can be released to the seller. Make sure you say it's non-refundable. It becomes the seller's property in exchange for the extension of time. So just a couple of things we wanted to update you on. Come to our contracts classes. We've got win-win negotiations coming up. We cover this kind of stuff all the time. I'll keep you up to date, keep you sharp. So, any questions? I know I'm not nearly as funny as Troy.
It's been great info, CB. We
Great
appreciate
info.
you being here with us today and sharing that info. And you're absolutely 1,000% right. Everybody on this call and everybody that's not on the call should really dial into the contracts class on Thursday at 1:00. It is more than, you can read. Anybody can read a contract, but knowing why you have to check this box, what not to write, go ad lib. These guys give you some power tools on how to succeed in real estate, not just fill out a form. So thanks, CB, Troy. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Jay.
Greg, you want to tell us what's happening in education world? If you guys don't know Greg,
Absolutely.
he is our director of training and communication. The guy is a godsend and has some great stuff.
Thank
Your
you.
business grows to the extent that you do, and you are a business grower, Greg. Tell us what's up.
Awesome. Yes, let's take some time to invest in our business by attending one or two of at least minimum of some of our classes we have coming. For instance, tomorrow morning. What do I say this time? It's an authentic conversation starter to stay top of mind on KW Connect at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Shortly after that, we have win-win negotiations with Troy Guy and CB Thompson at 1 o'clock. Contracts come through. You don't even have to register in advance. Just log in and let's join the fun. And then on Friday, we do have a packed Friday this week. So starting at 10 o'clock, know your needs analysis for buyer success, 10 o'clock, KW Connect. Shortly after that, we go into command and it's designs. So here's how this works. It's the listing presentation, part one, how to create your listing presentation on command. And then we give you 1 week to work on it. And then on April 29th, which is on Friday at 11 o'clock, it'll be a Q&A. Any questions you have while you are creating your listing presentations, I will be there to answer them for you. So join part one this week, Friday at 11 o'clock. And then shortly after that, we have the referral system and how you can use the relocation referrals and institutional organizations to build your business. And that is at 1 o'clock. It is a regional hosted class by Christina Griffin. She is our MAPS coach. And so that's at 1 o'clock. And there is no charge for any of these classes. They're all free to you. And then we have Monday, we have another command class, and we're going to be going over the command to mobile, working your contacts on the go with Candace Young. And that's at 12 p.m. on Monday afternoon. Sorry about that. And then on Tuesday, scripts practice, 9 o'clock. Bring your favorite script or register at scriptsviazoom.com to get your link and some additional scripts that you can use during our class. It's a 1-hour class. For the first 10 minutes, we prepare ourselves and then we go into breakout rooms. And if you join us 10 minutes after, you might miss us because we're in breakout rooms practicing our scripts. And then at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, it's get started with opportunities on command. And we're going to start focusing really big on opportunities in May. So this is a great intro to opportunities. And then at 1 o'clock, we have Brian, and it's Mastermind with Brian. At 1 o'clock, marry matching sales techniques, and it's easy. You don't have to register. Just log into mastermindwithbrian.com. That's what I have going on until next week.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And hey,
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And if you guys on the Zoom here ever thought about attending any of the Keller Williams experiences, Mega Agent Camp is an absolute must. You've got guys on stage, guys and gals that are succeeding at the highest level, telling you how they got there, what mistakes they made so that you don't have to make them. It is really an event to attend. And so the prices for live are $600. It's a smoking deal. So I suggest if you want to take your business to the next level, here's the thing. You can spend time and energy trying to create the wheel or just go learn from those that have already done it. You know, it was Sir Isaac Newton that said, the only reason that I've succeeded is because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. that came before me. And so that's the challenge. Do that, learn from those that have already made the mistakes so you don't have to, and you will absolutely win. Okay, that's Mega
Absolutely.
Camp.
I put the link in the
Oh.
chat. So if y'all want to register now because the tickets are on sale, like Jay mentioned, $5.99 in person or $129 if you can't make it out to Austin this time around. It's only $129 digital.
Got it. Cool. Great stuff. All right. Anybody with any needs or wants? Any listings coming up that you want to share? I saw there's a couple on the board here in the Pismo office. Anybody up in North County that have something they want to share coming up? South County, San Luis? Anyone? Going once? Going twice? All right, gang. Well, that's gonna do it for us today. Sorry again that we had some technical difficulties with the Zoom room, but we're getting that all straightened out. You can always reach us via the QR code there for our calendar, Facebook accounts, Instagram. We can always go to the resource webpage, meggersgroup.com, for all the recorded classes. You've got the YouTube channel, and then read all your front desk emails that coming from Marissa at frontdesk340@KWRCC.com. That's where you're going to get all the intel. On Monday, she sends out a list of all our classes and links to them. So thank you all for being here today. It is always a pleasure, and we'll see you guys next week. Until then, namaste.